Okay, let's take a look at this guy. I like what you've done with the face. I like the shading kind of around the eyes, and you might kind of go in here and just sort of blur these areas here where it looks kind of sharp, and I would just do that in the Photoshop file because those I think are a little bit distracting. I'm just going to delete history off this Alt-Shift-D and wait. Oh, there's two materials on this? That's a bit strange. Um, Maybe you have it assigned to some faces of the object, or what have you done? Let me see what's going on here. So you've got Lambert 3 and Blend 6. So let's do Lambert 3, select objects with material. That's those faces. And Blend 6. That's those. So I don't know, I feel like that's a bit of a tricky way to work. That could, you might run into some trouble with that. What I would do instead is, let's look at the, um, it's a little hard to see so the neck is right here, is that right? UV shell, that thing? Yeah. I mean, I would just get in there and paint that. If that just needs to be black, just paint that black in the Photoshop file, rather than having it have a different material on it, because that could trip you up later. Um, just take a quick look at the Photoshop file. Oops. So it would just, yeah, it would just be this here. And then what I was saying with this other bit here is just kind of soften and blur that. Like maybe, you know, take the brush and choose that and get a nice big soft brush. Um, just soften all that stuff so you don't have those kind of really sudden changes like you had there before. If I save this, go back into Maya and look at these areas, like in that area, I'm just gonna watch this when I hit reload. Hopefully that'll help. You see that? It looks like there's some cleanup here too, which you can, if you don't want to go back into Mudbox or whatever, you can fix that in Maya. I can go to Paint, 3D Paint, and assign Edit Textures, and then I'm going to use the Clone Stamp tool here, set Clone Source, and I have to click here. Let's try that one more time to make sure I got it, and then I can just kind of paint over that seam. Maybe a softer brush. I'm gonna do that. So set clone source. Yeah, you can't just alt click it like in Photoshop. You have to hit that set clone source every time. Maybe a bit of a softer brush. And you can, I'm not doing a great job of this, but the other thing is maybe you just want to pick a color like that and then just paint with the color over the seam. That doesn't want to paint over the seam right there. It's being a bit funny. Wonder if there's anything weird about the UV map or something. Sometimes it doesn't want to show the image. It's weird. Oh, now it's showing it. Yeah, I'm not sure why, but anyway, you could play with trying to clean up those seams a bit. And let's look at, yeah, you've got this sort of a leathery looking texture for this. I can see it looks like you've painted the nails and some details for the hands. Did we? Yeah, this is another case where, it'd be better to paint black on the texture than using two materials on one object. I'm just wondering if that's going to work in an Arnold render later on. I'm not sure if it is. So I would recommend having just one material per object. I kind of don't tend to assign material to just certain faces. And those are just solid black. So yeah, you might want to paint some additional detail into the boots, just so it's not just, maybe some seams, or maybe the sole is a slightly different color than the rest of the boot, for example. But yeah, I like these details, and overall I think, ooh, scary. Overall I think this is really good. Um, Wondering why he's got this real obvious seam there. Is that just the geometry itself or something with the texture? Hair tube shader. Interesting. I haven't used that before. It has a kind of a nice specular on it. And again, with the hat, you might want to just add some detail so it's not just one solid color. Yeah, it's just the same blend on there. So maybe it makes it look like a hard plastic, which I'm not sure is what you were going for. So for both of these, you might want to tone down the specular color so maybe it's not quite as shiny. Um, and again, maybe you want to paint a texture so you have a little bit more detail and variety in the boots and the hat.